Let's talk about Diablo Cody, because you found this topic, and Diablo Cody, she was the director and writer of Juno.
Yes, so she was initially considered to write a draft of the screenplay for Barbie, and this was back in like 2017, 2018. This movie was in production hell for quite a while, and Diablo Cody did an interview for GQ where she revealed that she couldn't write a draft for this movie because they were asking her to do the impossible. She said, they wanted a girl boss feminist twist on Barbie, and I couldn't figure it out because that's not what Barbie is.
That's totally not what Barbie is.
And coming from a feminist film director, which is Diablo Cody to a T, that's surprisingly honest. And this was also like back when they were considering Amy Schumer to play the role, and it was going to be just an absolute nightmare. I can't imagine a Diablo Cody directed, Amy Schumer starring Barbie movie. Yeah. I'm glad it ended up where it's ended up.
Yeah.
But yeah, she said in this interview, I failed so hard at that project. I was literally incapable of turning in a Barbie draft. God knows I tried. I think I know why I shit the bed. When I was first hired for this, I don't think the culture had embraced the femme or the bimbo as valid feminist archetypes yet. If you look up Barbie on TikTok, you'll find this wonderful subculture that celebrates the feminine. But in 2014, taking this skinny blonde white doll and making her into a heroine was a tall order. And I just don't think that you need to like make the bimbo into a feminist archetype to write this movie.
I didn't realize the bimbo was becoming a feminist archetype.
It is, but only it's difficult to explain, and we've talked about it before. Basically, these like self-proclaimed bimbos, primarily on TikTok, are just using the bimbo aesthetic of like pink and blonde and like fake tits and like being everything that the male gaze supposedly desires, but also still being still being feminist and still being like book smart and subverting male expectations. So like you can use men for their money because you appeal to what they want visually.
That's what it sounds like.
But on the inside, you're still a girl boss.
You do understand. Did you ever see that video meme where it says like just bought a dude, just had sex with a dude, then bought pizza and sent him home in a cab? It's like, let's see how men like it. And the guy's like, oh,
dude's like,
darn.
yeah, get into the cab
with
the guy doesn't care.
Aesthetic, like feminist thing, it's more like, I just got a guy to pay for dinner because I'm hot. Somehow this is a win for feminism.
The guy doesn't, as long as you have sex with him, the guy doesn't care.
Like
the guy could care less. Yeah. He doesn't care.
Yeah, which is why I think it's a giant cope. Yeah. Like the whole bimbo aesthetic being a feminist archetype is a cope because you're appealing to the so-called male gaze and calling it a win for feminism just because you can't admit to what your true desires are, which is to be desired by men.
They have to
put
college
that
has
being
made it,
thin is important to you, being hot is important to you, being desired by men is important to you, getting provided for is important to you, but you can't admit to any of that, so you have to call it a feminist archetype.
All the college courses in feminist literature can't destroy your innate desires or biology or evolution. It's just not possible. So, but it is funny to watch them work overtime to try and intellectualize it away.
Some more of her comments said, that idea of an anti-Barbie made a lot of sense given the feminist rhetoric of 10 years ago. I didn't really have the freedom then to write something that was faithful to the iconography. They wanted a girl-bossed feminist twist on Barbie, and I couldn't figure it out because that's not what Barbie is. And they also mentioned that, like, well, Greta Gerwig said that an essential part of writing Barbie's character is that she doesn't have introspection, which isn't feminist.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a woman who doesn't self-reflect is not a mentally capable, strong woman, right? So really, this is just women wanted a superficial movie, but couldn't admit to themselves that they wanted something superficial.
Where does Barbie's, like, story come from? Because there's no real...
Believe it or not, I don't know.
As far as I know, like, at least as far as the doll goes, like, there's no real Barbie canon, is there? I mean, there's imagined canon. There's people that have made movies, but and the point that I'm making, I guess, is like there's no origin story for Barbie. It's just Barbie's a pretty girl.
I guess this is what it's supposed to be. This movie is supposed to be an origin story for that character, but
maybe Doll Click in the chat would be able to tell. Maybe Doll Click in the chat would know the answer to that.
Maybe the resident doll expert would know.
Yeah.
And also, they mentioned that Anne Hathaway was in consideration for playing Barbie after Amy Schumer was out of the picture because she didn't think that the story was feminist enough.
Amy Schumer didn't think the story was feminist enough?
Yeah.
That was the story? Good.
Andrina in the chat says there is canon, so I would be interested to know what the canon is or whether that matters to a story like this.
I promise you. Well, I watched all of the Barbie movies that were made for kids like back in the 2000s, but is that the canon you're referring to?
Yeah. It's just when you see stories like this, you have to wonder like what it would have looked like to see that movie, because I think the Amy Schumer one would have been a disaster.
Yes, obviously.
I don't think that one would have worked
Anne Hathaway would be more believable.
Like Anne Hathaway in 2018 would very much be in the same realm as to what a Margot Robbie is now. Yeah. Think about this: 2018. I think Les Miserables came out in 2017 or around that time period. The Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012. So she had a career trajectory upwards at that point. I think she could have played Barbie.
Yeah, I do too. She also, she still looks, I would say, like young enough to play the role today.
Yeah.
But like, I also feel like Jim Carrey would have made a great villain in this movie instead of Will Ferrell.
I think he would have
talking about this earlier, but you're saying he would have been too expensive.
No, I think him and Will Ferrell probably have similar price tags, but since Jim Carrey wants to retire, he's like, if you're gonna make me be in a Barbie movie, you should just ask for the moon.
Throw an unfathomable number at them.
But also, I think that Jim Carrey's style of acting would have been a bit. It would have like overshadowed the overacting of the other. He's so well known for his overacting. As long as they would like limit his
screen time as the villain in the movie a little bit, then I don't think it would necessarily overshadow the protagonist. But I think Jim Carrey would have done really well in that role instead of Will Ferrell. But like, she's also saying a big consideration here was that they were kind of mocking a script based on the Lego movie, the way that they like made the Lego universe something meta,
but then it
where
became
they make
very
like
successful
self-referential jokes to the fact that they're toys. But now that enough time has passed, like no one is thinking about that, and it's able to stand on its own.
And both with Will Ferrell.
But I wouldn't expect this much intellectual honesty from a feminist director, to be honest.
And by the way, guys, it was Reitman who directed Juno. She wrote Juno. So I just wanted to correct that. That was my mistake. I forgot about that so long ago.
And I don't think that Barbie needed a girl boss feminist twist in the first place, since what Barbie has always stood for is that like you can do anything and be sexy at the same time. Like, she's had every job imaginable.
That is kind of her shtick, though.
She is a girl boss.
Yeah.
And has been since the 70s and 80s, when that word wasn't a thing. But they needed to still, like, bastardize it into something
they needed to bastardize it
for Amy Schumer fans.
Well, they have
that
to.
Was never
hey,
necessary.
if they're gonna force me to watch deconstructed male heroes, then you ladies get stuck with Amy Schumer as Barbie. It's only fair. That's equality.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I consider this a good thing. Also, there were some new details about what's been happening, like behind the scenes with the Barbie cast, and apparently they had a group chat of all the Barbies and Kens while they were in production, except for Michael Cera, because he still has a flip phone.
Based.
Which is the coolest
awesome.
thing Michael Cera has ever done.
It absolutely is. Also, they made them like, they created a literal pink tax on set where they had to wear pink at least once a week.
Margot would go around the set collecting donations from anybody who didn't wear pink that day and donate them to charity.
Imagine rich ass Margot Robbie.
You don't really want a multi-millionaire celebrity to be collecting a tax from you on the crew.
I was saying this better not have included crew. Like, you don't want to be some gaffer or a dude setting up lights being like having Margot Robbie with her ridiculously perfect golden ratio face coming up to you saying like, oh, you didn't wear pink today while you're lugging all this heavy equipment around. Guess you're going to have to pay the tax. Now I don't blame them for wanting to strike. You should strike.
Yeah. Michael Sarah said, I don't have an iPhone myself. I have a flip phone, but I still think I wouldn't belong in the group chat anyway because my character, Alan, is sort of in his own little world. And he said that Greta Gerwig gifted him a disc of NSYNC's No Strings Attached when they started filming, which felt like a guiding light in the backstory of this character.
Nice.
I'm so sick of them trying to intellectualize this movie. I'm so sick of the over-intellectual.
That's my thing. Like,
it's so annoying.
You can desire something that's superficial entertainment and not intellectualize it, not make it any deeper than it has to be. It doesn't have to be a feminist girl boss twist. You can just want a pretty movie with pretty people in it, wearing pink, making funny jokes.
What I was saying is like, it's kind of nice. It's like, look, as annoying as I find the attempts to make this smarter than it is, seeing women go around dress in pretty clothes and do things that women like to do is kind of a welcome reprieve from all of the women who have to pretend like they like action movies. They don't like them. They don't even
pat them on the head and say, yes, you're a good little feminist.
Yes, like when all these women are like, oh, I love this character. She's so strong and powerful. I was like, but she looks like she's never held a weapon before in her entire life. It goes against nature. They don't want to do
Women
this.
Women don't give a crap about Tomb Raider.
They don't. Well, they might give a crap about the game. I don't know, but they don't care about playing spies or superheroes. That's not what women actually want in Hollywood.
Women don't give a crap about the Marvels. That's for sure.
So like when you see women just get to live in their own realm where women used to be, which is making stuff for Barbie, I'm like, well, this is a nice reprieve from the postmodern Hollywood that we live through now.
The one issue I have with this movie still is that the other Barbies are not Margot Robbie level attractiveness.
Well,
like they look like charity cases next to her, and they should have gotten like. I said Madison Beer, but maybe she should be in the Bratz movie. Sydney Sweeney, yep. Paris Hilton, some really like, I don't know, like 90s styled skinny blonde bitches. Like that would be perfect. And instead they got Issa Rae and some like transgender actor who's never, like no one's ever heard of.
Also, guys, when I say this stuff about women, I'm generalizing, but I'm saying on the whole, Hollywood tries to push women into things that have been traditionally male spaces because they don't know how to write actually strong female characters. It's
Imagine
really funny.
Brie Larson as Barbie.
Yeah. Here's a really
Do you
funny
think
one.
that she would be able to play Barbie?
No, she's kind of annoying.
Or one of the Barbies.
She could have been maybe one of the Barbies.
She could be in the background and just
yeah.
Don't give her that many lines.
Yeah. Also, like, look, I've been watching Walker, Texas Ranger. The original Walker, Texas Ranger from 1993. It's incredible. Everyone should go watch it. It is like this amazing time capsule of like a time when people didn't hate America.
Yeah.
And there's just, it's great. But there's this, the district attorney that's in the show. She's, she's the district attorney and she has a couple of feminist lines in the end of season 1. But for the most part, she suffers from constantly kidnapped syndrome where she's just like always but they never show her as bad at her job because it was more normal for a woman. Like they actually mentioned this in an episode of Castle. They say, most intelligent women go into, become lawyers, not cops, because it's more socially acceptable for a woman to become a lawyer and not a cop.
Well, and I mean, there's the whole, like, you have to go hands-on.
Did you see that video recently of the 2 women trying to arrest the very small man? And it was very, and like finally they had to let the security guard come out and do it.
Beware of female cops.
Yeah, like, well, just like short cops.
You're going to get
and
shot.
Short cops.
Never piss off a short cop. He will do bad things
He or she will do bad things to you.
So yeah, but
Has there been a cop Barbie? Like,
I have no idea.
There probably was.
Probably. So yeah, like, but in that show, she's a lawyer. She's perfectly capable at her job. She's shown as being independent. She lives on her own. And this was in 1993. She's just not a physical specimen that's expected to act like one. Nowadays, you have to be able to do both because they don't treat women like women. They treat them as if they're just men, but with women's bodies.
So. I wanted to be clear though that like Barbie has always been a feminist brand. Like they were putting out Barbies that were presidential candidates and astronauts since the 60s. Like through time, this was the original Girlboss. So it's just redundant, the idea that you would need to put a twist on it to make it more Girlbossified. Barbie has always been a Girlboss, and you don't need to make it anything else.
Barbie was kind of like the first Girlboss, wasn't she?
Yeah. She literally, they put out an astronaut Barbie in 1965. That was before we got to the moon.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.